Say hello to a new friend on an old road. Take a dream trip of memories into mysteries unknown. Come along for the ride. Hinckley's America. Hinckley's America.
Hey, good morning, mi amigos. How is everybody doing on this frosty morning? The temperature's in the mid-30s here in Kingman, Arizona. Well, it's going to be sunny and warm. One of the good things about Kingman, winter is pretty short. Usually lasts about a day or two, followed by fall, spring, and then a few more days of winter. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today? Hey, today we've had a few automotive programs. That's a big part of automotive history. Is a big part of who I am. I started my writing career with automotive history. I've always been a bit of an auto buff, kind of an oddball when it comes to things and when it cars and I'm currently writing a series of articles for Motoring NZ. You can find them at motoringnz.com, a New Zealand publication on obscure and interesting automotive history. And here on Coffee with Jim, we've had a few automotive programs, but this morning, got something a little bit different. Here's the teaser. What company had the first automotive recall? Give that one a little bit of a thought. And also, I'm going to introduce you to Charles Kettering, a fellow that transformed your world. Andy, that's a good guess, but you're wrong. Stay tuned, Andy. And as this is Jim Hinckley's America, there's going to be a Route 66 story or two. And of course, we have the weekly trivia contest that's proven kind of popular. And we have a few updates that might be of interest. And generally a fun-filled, fast-paced half hour. Try to take our mind off the never-ending election and 2020, the year of the apocalypse. Try to focus on something a little more upbeat and positive here. Before I get going, I want to give a shout out, of course, to the boys of the road crew for our theme song. You can take a listen to their road trip inspiring tunes at roadcrew66.com or on YouTube. High on my list of favorite tunes from this band is Under the Neon. Check that out on YouTube. See if that doesn't put you in a mood that road trip and to go out and see neon nights. Okay, well, let's get this thing going with a trivia contest. Whoever comes up with the first right answer will receive a limited edition Route 66 Yacht Club patch and a Route 66, Mother Road Route 66 passport from Route 66 Navigation. Any ideas? Here we go. Alberta's Hotel was located a few blocks off Route 66 in Springfield. What was it that made her hotel unique? A little bit of a stumper here for you this morning, huh? Okay, let's jump right into our automotive recall. Any guesses? We've had people suggest Ford and a couple other companies. Well, the first recall was 1923, and it turned out to be a chapter that the company really wanted to forget. And it almost led to General Motors killing off the Chevrolet division. That's right. The first automotive recall was Chevrolet. In 1919, General Motors underwent a major corporate shakeup. William Durant, the company's original founder, he lost control of the company for the second time. And they were trying to trim a lot of dead wood. Anyway, 1919, the company underwent a major corporate shakeup. And the company was just literally hemorrhaging money. And then they had the major post-World War I recession that was creating some real issues. So cutting dead wood, Chevy was near the top. And one reason for the anemic sales was that very little had changed with the cars since the Model 490 was introduced in 1913. But Charles Kettering, head engineer of Delco and the General Motors Research Division wing in Dayton, Ohio, he had an idea. And I'll share a bit more of Kettering's interesting story in a couple minutes here. Part of the problem is that the Chevrolet Model M was rushed into production, and it wasn't extensively tested. And it used a slightly modified coupe body from the previous year. Under the hood was an air-cooled engine that was billed as being innovative, and it wasn't. See, air cooling really wasn't new. Franklin, as an example, they had been successfully producing air-cooled engines for almost 20 years. Their cars were renowned. And so Kettering, anyway, he'd been tasked with developing a 6-cylinder engine for Oakland and a 4-cylinder for Chevrolet, both air-cooled engines. The Oakland project was dropped. The Chevy engine had the cylinders cast individually, with each jug being wrapped in copper fins to dissipate heat. It was an absolute unmitigated failure. In hot weather, the cars overheated. They experienced extensive vapor loss of compression, burned bearings. It was bad. It surely did not help with Chevrolet's position with General Motors. Only 759 of these cars were produced when the project was suspended. And they were all recalled, replaced with conventional models, pulled back from dealerships, and destroyed, except for 2. Henry Ford bought one because he was curious and wanted to take it apart and see what it made it tick. And Dean Abner, he refused to sell his car, and both of those air-cooled Chevys still exist. Needless to say, this project was a huge loss for the Chevrolet division. It was as big a loss at that time as Edsel was for Ford in the late 1950s. Okay, Andy. Andy's taken a few guesses on the first Chevrolet V8. Well, what year did Chevrolet introduce a V8 engine? Well, as I noted, the 490 had been the company's mainstay from its inception in 1913. But in 1917, an attempt was made to revamp the company and boost sagging sales. The result was the Model D. It was powered by an overhead valve V8 engine that was shared with the Oakland division. The engine was durable and it was dependable, but it was very costly to repair and expensive to manufacture. So it worked in the Oakland, but a Chevy 5-passenger touring car with 4-cylinder engine sold for $685. With a V8 engine, the price jumped to $1,550. Needless to say, the V8 Chevy sold quite poorly and was dropped mid-year 1918. Kind of interesting, but Andy, you are correct. The modern V8 came out, introduced late 54 for the 55 model year, the Chevy overhead V8s, and kind of changed everything. But initially, it was the 1917 models. I always try to, one thing, we talk about these programs, I want them to be inspirational. and put aside divisions and odds and ends. And I want to introduce you I try to introduce you to people who are examples of a life well lived. And Charles Kettering really, really fits that bill. He's a man that changed your life and our world for better and for worse. He was born on August 29th, 1876 in Loudonville, Ohio. He worked at the National Cash Register Company in Dayton, Ohio, and he helped develop the first cash register to be equipped with an electric motor that opened the register drawer. And in partnership with Edward Deeds, he formed Dayton Engineering Laboratories Company, Delco. Kettering developed a key-operated electric self-starting ignition systems for automobiles. And the electric starter was introduced first on the 1912 Cadillac. He patented that 3 years later. And even though cars like Ford used cranks to start for another 20 years, needless to say, Kettering's electric starter and then his key-operated electric starting, it forever changed the automobile. And I don't think any of us want to go out in the mornings and crank start our car, and we can thank Mr. Kettering and his team for that. In 1914, he founded the Dayton Wright Airplane Company, which during World War I developed a propeller-driven guided missile with a 200-pound bomb load. This set the stage for drones. It was a lot of technology went into this. And he was an ambitious fella. He was also the year that he went in with a couple of partners and incorporated the Flexible Sidecar Company to manufacture motorcycle sidecars. Pretty interesting guy here. But he had a array of interest. He was fascinated by all kinds of things. He patented a portable lighting system with generator and storage batteries for rural applications. And here's one for you. Related to this, he experimented with the development of solar charging panels in 1916. He's also credited with the development of the refrigerant Freon, a gas that allowed for the manufacture of refrigerators and air conditioners at a feasible cost for home use. And he also had an interest in the development of medical equipment. He developed and patented an incubator for premature infants. And while he was at it, he invented a treatment for venereal disease. And education was also a very, very big part of Mr. Kettering's interests were also educational. He played a major role in the founding of the Flint Institute of Technology in 1919, the General Motors Institute, now the Kettering University, in 1926. And in 1945, he and longtime General Motors head Alfred Sloan established the Sloan Kettering Institute for Cancer Research in New York City. My friends, that is an example of a life well lived. Pretty interesting characters. A lot of these early fellows were really, just such a diverse interest, such active minds. They didn't want to let a grass grow under their feet. Let's see here. For those just joining us who joined us late, our trivia contest this morning. Whoever comes up with the first right answer wins a limited edition Route 66 Yacht Club patch and the innovative Mother Road Route 66 passport developed by Route 66 Navigation. All kinds of good information here. Greatly enhance your trip. Pick up some prizes along the way. A little bit of trivia. It's probably the ultimate customizable souvenir. And if you go to Route66Navigation.com, you can find out where these can be picked up on the road. You can order them through Route66Navigation.com. And my friends, the apocalypse won't last forever. We'll be out doing road trips before you know it. And now I want to give a shout out to the wonderful Wagon Wheel Motel in Cuba, Missouri. And to give a little bit of plug for Cuba, a couple things you may not know about Cuba that I think you'd find of interest. For example, about a block off Route 66 is Main Street. And the Cuba Bakery and Deli, Frisco's Grill and Pub, Riviera Maya is over there. But if you go down, head east on Main Street, down to almost where it dead ends, and you look on the side there, it's overgrown and pretty much forgotten. But the 1908 Cuba jail is sitting there. Kind of a neat little discovery. Okay. For me, and I can highly recommend the Wagon Wheel as a must stop. And here's a little tip. Make the time in the morning. Discover, if you're not familiar with what the magic of Route 66 is, or if you are, and you just want to really enhance your trip, make time in the morning for a visit with Miss Connie Eccles. First, take a trip down to the Cuba Bakery and Deli. Ask Connie to put the coffee on. Take a trip down to the Cuba Bakery and Deli. Pick up a selection of fresh baked pastries and rolls. Try the raspberry stuffed cruffins. And sit for a spell and just enjoy coffee and conversation. The smell of those pastries, you know, you're going to have all the guests sharing their road trip stories before they check out. And that's a great way to start another day of Route 66 exploration. It kind of sets the mood, if you will. And don't forget, Miss Connie has a big selection of my books, and many are autographed. David Wickline this week put up a list of businesses with e-commerce stores. The Launching Pad, the Jackrabbit Trading Post. A lot of them have gone to e-commerce to kind of stay alive in these times. That's really good. And I want to thank Mr. Wickline for going to the trouble of putting up that list. But there's others, too, that you might want to keep an eye on. I mentioned Route 66 Navigation. They have a online little gift shop. Of course, the Route 66 Navigation app, tremendous, tremendous gift for the adventurer in your family. And that takes us to the Route 66 Centennial. And our coffee mug sponsor of the week, the One Stop 66 Shop. This online store, it's really innovative what they've done. It's a sort of a flea market, if you will, an online flea market for small business owners, authors, and artists. And so it's a great place to do a bit of Christmas shopping. You can find unique gifts and support a small business or starving artist. And One Stop 66 also has a line now of Route 66 Centennial products, such as this coffee mug. Check it out at onestop66.com. If you would like to be a coffee cup sponsor, get a plug for your business, community, or museum, simple. Send me a coffee cup. And, I'm not adverse. If you want to stick a check or a few bucks in there to offset some of our expenses, God bless. We'd sure appreciate it, but it's not mandatory. I had promised this before. You can now purchase copies of 100 Things to Do on Route 66. Let's see here. And 100 Things to Do on Route 66 Before You Die, and Murder and Mayhem on the Main Street of America. Those are both available now through JimHinckley'sAmerica.com. The link will take you to PayPal. And special for the holiday season, they're discounted. $12 plus shipping and tax. I can ship overseas, but it's really cost prohibitive, so I'm just doing domestic shipping on the books. And you can find that on our website at JimHinckley'sAmerica.com. Scroll down about halfway on the home page and you'll find the buttons. I've yet to find a reasonable means to sell books overseas. The cost of shipping is more than double the price of the book, and even defaced with my signature. I find it hard to justify that. Before we get to our Route 66 connection, I want to give you my parting thought for the day. Samuel Clemens, best known as Mark Twain, he's credited with a sage bit of wisdom that I find quite fitting today. Quote, "It's easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled." Folks, it's never easy to admit being suckered, but it's a whole heap better to admit it than make being a sucker a career. Okay, now, Route 66. Scattered all along Route 66 are vintage dealerships hiding in plain sight. For example, in Yukon, Oklahoma, there's a long-closed Chevy dealership and garage, but the Chevy's signature bow tie is visible in the capstone above the doors. In Carthage, Missouri, there's an old Chrysler dealership that still has a DeSoto service sign hanging over the garage door. Here in Kingman, we have the Old Trails Garage that operated over the years, dates back to about 1916, 1917. The Route 66 Association of Kingman has just put up a 1930 Packard sign over the door. And there's logos from different dealerships that operated there: Buick, Mack Trucks, Cadillac, LaSalle. Down the street is Dutton Motors, Dream Machines. That opened in 1946. Located at 1285 East Colorado Boulevard, Route 66 in Pasadena, Oklahoma, Pasadena, California, is the Howard Motor Company building. I posted a picture yesterday on the Jim Hinckley's America Facebook page. This opened in 1927 as a Packard dealership, and its facade retains the original styling designed to mimic a popular Baroque styling of the 17th century Spain. The building was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1996. And for the auto buff, you know, the Packard had a trademark grill shape. And the front window of this building is shaped like a Packard grill. It's pretty neat. And like I say, I posted pictures on the Facebook page, and then Joe Sonderman shared a postcard from when it was the Packard facility. If you know of any vintage dealerships along Route 66, I'd appreciate if you'd share the information. I'm working on a project to document these facilities, and Dave Clark in Chicago, the Windy City Warrior, famous for his tours there, has sent me given me some information on what used to be Automotive Row, and now the buildings retain logos and different things from companies like Studebaker. So if you have any of that information, I'd sure like to hear from you, because that's something I'm really I got something cooking in the back of my head. We'll see if it goes anywhere. Well, let's not beat our gums too much here. We've already got 25 minutes into this thing, so we'll start by answering some questions. And Mr. Mike and Andy, good morning. Frank, how are you doing this morning? You know, how are things? Frank Jameson says, how's things going? Well, you know, every day is good. Some are just better than others, especially in 2020. Mr. Kentner, good morning. Jim Featherstone, well, there's the fellow right there. Speaking of One Stop 66. Andy, you know, that's a funny thing. I've never understood why that worked, but putting a clothespin on your fuel line, a wooden clothespin, doesn't always, but it can help with vapor lock. I've never got an explanation, but I have used that trick many, many, many times. It's kind of interesting. Thule Garrett, how are you doing? Speaking of online stores and great places, Thule's with the Launching Pad Cafe in Wilmington, Illinois, and we sure hope that they get open soon. Meanwhile, you can check them out online. They've got a great gift shop. Good morning, Mr. Harley. Oh, Elizabeth, no problem. These are archived here on the Facebook page, and later today we'll have it up on our YouTube channel. All of our videos including On the Road with Jim programs that are sponsored by the Uranus Fudge Company. Those you can find on the Jim Hinckley YouTube channel. Sloan Kettering. Yes, Maggie. Thank you. Yeah, Sloan was a big deal in Michigan. He was, a big deal in automotive history. He transformed Chevrolet, that's for sure. And it took some doing, but he... Bill, you're never too late. Like I say, you can pick these up later. Better late than never. Mike, good morning. Bill, I am always glad to hear my books. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Andy, that's good, good. And good morning from Livonia, Michigan. And Nolan, dealerships, well, if they still exist, that's fine, but locations, such as that Packard dealership in Pasadena, is kind of what I'm looking for. There's one I turned up. It's not on Route 66. It's over near Cedar Point, Ohio. Gosh, the name of the town escapes me right now. But it's a beautiful facility. It's been converted into offices. But it was obviously a Studebaker dealership. Brick building, and all the cornices have the Studebaker logo, the wheel in the and I know in Buffalo, New York, there's a Pierce Aero facility. So anything of that nature would be of interest. And I hope you got your books, Nolan. I know you haven't got your gift certificate yet, but I have been assured it's on its way. Is there any other questions, anything I can answer for you this morning? And trivia contest, one more time. Okay, as per request, Alberta's Hotel in Springfield, it was located a few blocks off Route 66. What was it that made her hotel resort so unique? That was our question. Any ideas? No? Well, I've got a few things. Good morning, Lulu. I got a few things in the works, but nothing I really want to. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up and too much yet, but I've been looking into these programs on Facebook, how we can do screen sharing, so we can possibly tie in with presentations. Zoom has. I've been doing Zoom presentations. I've got one on December 14th for the El Paso Rotary Club. It works, but it's just, I don't know if it's just me, but it just seems lagging. So I'm going to try something different. Hey, I got one more Chevy tidbit for you before we button this thing up. Do you know what the oldest continuously manufactured line of vehicles is? Any ideas? The Chevrolet Suburban, introduced in late 1935. And I would, boy, I'll tell you what, guys, if I could find me a good Chevy Suburban between 1935 and 1945, I'd be happier than fleas on a puppy. Not that I could probably afford it, but I'd still be happier than fleas on a puppy. Another little tidbit for you, about 85% of all Chevrolet Suburbans sold in the 1960s and 1970s, it says here 83% of all Chevy Suburbans sold in the 1960s, 1970s were sold in one state. Any ideas? Texas. Well, guys, thank you very much. Oh, hey, Mike, thank you very much. Route 66, El Reno, Oklahoma. Gosh, okay, very good. No, Jim, the Corvette came out in like 53, but the Chevy Suburban came out in 1935. Yeah, I know that they would absorb heat, the wooden ones, and can help, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It goes back to Chevrolet's air-cooled situation. I know that's a way to dissipate heat. Interesting anyway. It does work on those old cars, and just some of the lost technologies, I guess, lost tips. Even us old farts have kind of forgotten about a lot of the things we used to have to go through with vehicles. But oh, Frank, thank you very much. We've got quite a few dealerships here in Kingman. There's an old Chrysler Plymouth dealership. It's now George Gray's Foreign Car Service. I was kind of sad because they just painted the building. There was a ghost sign on the side that they covered up of Chevrolet Plymouth DeSoto. Then downtown, it's now a collections office and a woodworking shop. But there's a Dodge dealership from the 1930s, 1940s. Yeah, Marla. REO stands for Ransom E. Olds. And when Oldsmobile, Ransom Olds, lost control of Oldsmobile and his name, he went and started manufacturing Rio. And the REOs were wonderful cars. There's one downtown at the Dutton Motors Dream Machine building. It's a 31 coupe. Beautiful car. And they were extremely well built. I can't think, it was like 1930. The REO Flying Cloud had a 100,000 mile warranty on the drivetrain. Mike, I was not aware of the Packard building in Oklahoma City. Hemmings, a couple of years ago, they documented all the remaining Ford Model T production facilities. And surprising how many are left, and they've been reconverted into office space or loft apartments. But a surprising number of the Model T Ford Motor Company manufacturing facilities are still existent. Yeah, thank you for that, Marla. But REO, of course, they produced big trucks up into the 60s, possibly early 70s. And it was Ransom E. Olds was the name behind that. Well, folks, I am always appreciative. So glad that you could join us today. Well, gosh, I appreciate your support. And I want to thank supporters of our crowdfunding initiative. That has been so crucial to everything we're doing this year because, for obvious reasons, we're trying to lend support to small businesses, a lot of times at no charge, provide promotional opportunities, coffee mug sponsorships, things of that nature. And crowdfunding has been really crucial and is my way of saying thank you. Every week I try to provide some interesting, original content. And with that said, if there's nothing else, I'll let you folks get back to your day. And thanks for joining me. And I hope you found it interesting and informative. Next week, well, we'll do this again about 7:30. Oh, Miss Maggie, very good. 1924 Buick dealership in Lansing, Michigan is now the Lansing Community College building. Very good. I think it would be really interesting to document a lot of these facilities. And you might even get into manufacturing facilities. Maggie's aware this is kind of a sore spot with her and me and a few others, but in Jackson, for example, there's a nondescript brick building, and the previous occupants really damaged it badly in a kind of a fundraising boondoggle type deal. But it was a former automobile factory, and it was Hackett Automobile. Standard Electric was manufactured there. David Buick owned the place for a little while. And of course, in Jackson, Michigan, a lot of the complex is still left. The beautiful office building. A lot of the interior stuff is still there. It's in use. Some of the factory has burned. Some is just overgrown. But it was the headquarters for the 1905 to 1903 to 1925 Jackson Automobile Company. Well, folks, this has been good. We've run a little bit over. I've been beating my gums a bit. But, you know, I've been told I can do this all day, even if I'm the only one in the room, and still enjoy myself. But it's great to visit with everybody. Folks, I hope everybody has a great week. Don't be fearful about these crazy times, but use common sense and watch out for your neighbors. And Be careful out there. Don't let yourself get stampeded into seeing your neighbors as your enemies. Don't do that. We really need each other, and we need each other more than ever right now. So, my friends, vaya con Dios, mi amigos. And next week, invite your friends. We'll make it a coffee party. Take care.